Hello and welcome to the first ever episode of Virtual Top Gear, where I'm going to be looking at the McLaren P1. Now the McLaren P1 is jaw-dropping. It's an absolutely beautiful looking car, but not only that, it also has a lot of performance under the bonnet. It can do a lot of things. It's a very, very fast car, and the reason for that is that it has a 3.8 litre twin turbocharged V8 petrol engine which will pump out 727 British horsepowers. Although that's not what BHP stands for, it's British car, so you get what I mean. Now, the McLaren P1 is a mid-engined rear-wheel drive supercar. This can compete with any supercar on the market, such as the LaFerrari, Audi R8s, Aston Martins. It can compete with anything. This car is just a motoring masterpiece, if you want to put it like that. But as well as being so good in performance, it also is environmentally friendly, as it has a hybrid engine, a hybrid motor. So it keeps all the environmental wombles happy with you because you're not destroying the environment. As you just saw there, this car is blisteringly fast. It shot down the runway. It got to nearly 200 miles an hour. It can break the 200 mile an hour mark easily. If you put it in a situation where it can, where it can get to its top speed, it will get to speeds above 218 miles an hour. But unfortunately, the car is limited to that speed of 218 miles an hour, just because, that's just super fast. I don't actually know exactly why it's limited to that speed, but it just is, and you'll have to deal with it, unfortunately. But this car does go around corners well. It's a very, very good performance supercar. It's not like a Lamborghini or some Ferraris. It's not absolutely crazy. You can't go flying around corners sideways at hundreds of miles an hour. That's not it. This car is extremely grippy, very quick. It's very good at going around corners. Obviously, it's more of a performance car, which means it's able to go around tracks a lot quicker. Because you go around tracks quicker, making the corners, rather than going hundreds of miles an hour sideways, as you can see I'm doing now, making a bit of mess of that. See, it doesn't really work like that. That's not how this car should be driven. Obviously, it has traction control, which I am using here, although I do make a mess of it there. So it is definitely very, very grippy and works as a track car very, very well. Definitely round track. Again, this car will beat any of the competition nearly every time, because it's not always about straight line speed. Obviously there are cars that beat this in straight lines, such as the Koenigsegg and the Veyron, but that really does not matter because this car is just jaw-dropping. It's one of my favourite cars in the world, by far. It's just amazing. You see, this car is predecessor of the McLaren F1. Now the McLaren F1 broke so many boundaries when it was made. Obviously it's an older car now. It was made in the 90s, I want to say 90s. So this is the modern version, obviously F1 P1. This car is obviously a lot more up to date, full of so many more gadgets than that car, obviously, because it was made a long time before this. So this car is definitely a lot more advanced. It was made by, or helped develop by, the same people who make the McLaren Formula 1 cars. So this car is seriously futuristic. As you can see in the back, the brake lights, it has the same sort of light as the Formula 1 cars do when they're harnessing power. So it definitely does have similar technology, especially with the hybrid engine that it has. So this car is just absolutely amazing. But there are a few flaws. Obviously, you have your normal flaws with your supercars. They're wide, they're hard to park, especially if you live in a city. They can be quite loud, although the McLaren can be driven fairly quietly if your foot doesn't slip. And there's a big one. The big thing about this car is the price. £866,000 is what this car will cost you. That is very, very expensive for a car. That's pushing the boundary. Well, that's getting very close to £1 million. And some of the extras you can have on this car pushes it over the £1 million mark. Do I think this car is worth the price? Now, obviously, this is a virtual reality. It's a video game. So, yes, this car is definitely worth it if you have the credits in the game. If this was real life and I had the kind of money, would I buy one? Yes, I would. I think the car is worth it, and it is a very, very, very good car. But now it's time to put it under the ultimate test. We know it's a very, very good car. We know it can do a lot of things. We know it couldn't be impractical, but we know it is very, very expensive. So it's now time to hand it over to our tame racing driver. Some say he released his Christmas fragrance, which smelt of Wednesday. Some say nothing, because they don't know anything about him. But all we know is he's called the Stig, and he's off. That's the sound of 727 horsepower being released as he flies down towards the first corner here, taking it quite twitchy in the braking, but I'm pretty sure any car would be at these kind of speeds. Good first corner, nice and tidy. He's coming into Chicago here. Very, very under control, very planted. As I said, this car is very, very good through the corners, and you can see just powering out the corners, getting up to that speed. The speeds that this car can reach are absolutely just mind-blowing. As we come into Hammerhead again, car is slightly twitchy on the braking, but very, very clean, very, very tidy around here. No touches of oversteer. Obviously that traction control is in action just to help the Stig here, although it should really be turned off. He is using it here just so he can get a maximum performance through the corners. You see flying through the tyres there, not lifting at all, flat through there. As you come into Gambon here, cutting the corner nicely, just as you should. Coming around the final corner here, actually going a bit quickly, ring quite wide, jumping over the grass, and there you go, across the line. Now, the McLaren P1 did it in 1:13.894, which surprisingly is the fastest time we've ever had around here. And that's probably because we've not had any other cars around here. But that time is going to be a tough one to beat. I think it's probably going to be up there for a while until you have cars such as the Koenigsegg and things like that may have a chance of beating it. But that is going to be the end of this show. So on that bombshell, it's time to end. I hope you've enjoyed, guys, and I'll see you all later.